G'day Jackednnerdy fans, Jeremy here with a review video for the new Netflix drama series, The Sandman. Before we jump into that review, I just want to remind everyone to make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you guys never miss out on a video. And if you do enjoy these videos, make sure you give them a thumbs up. That way this lets us know that you are enjoying our content and encourages us to keep putting out content. Also, if you have any suggestions or recommendations on upcoming videos that we could do, please hit us up in the comments section below and let us know. We do read all of the comments and we'll respond accordingly. And also, we are open to feedback. So yeah, if there's something that you want to see, an upcoming show, TV, series, movie, an action figure you'd like to see us do an unboxing video of, or a Lego set, hit us up in those comments and we'll do our best to see what we can come up with. Okay, so with that out of the way, the brand new drama series, The Sandman, on Netflix. This was a fantastic show. It was adapted from the Dark Horse comic book series, held by Warner Brothers, obviously, Dark Horse, DC. Now, I never read the comic books, but I had heard wonderful things about it. There was a podcast series that they did, like a audiobook podcast series that they did. I never got around to listening to that, but apparently that was fantastic as well. But I've been anticipating this series for quite some time, ever since I first saw a little kind of brief teaser about a year ago for it. And I have to say they did not disappoint with this series whatsoever. In typical Netflix fashion, it is a 10-episode season. We're not sure whether they've greenlit a season 2 yet, but we'll come back to that in a moment. So it's 10 episodes. Each episode is between 35 to 45 minutes, which is pretty typical for Netflix. And so the overall premise, if you're not familiar with the property, is that the Sandman, the keeper of dreams and the dream world, gets imprisoned by a mortal and held in captivity for several decades. And during that time, obviously, all hell breaks loose in the dream world. Also in our reality, people fall asleep and don't wake up. They just stay in that dream state. Lots of things just kind of fall apart in society as a result of him being imprisoned. And nightmares escape out of the dream world, come into reality, and in the form of serial killers and things like that. They are nightmares who kind of came into reality and what have you. So the very first episode is all about that, how he got captured and was kept in I suppose containment for decades and decades, and then eventually he gets out. And then the rest of the show is about him picking up those pieces of everything that went awry while he was in captivity, and also a bit of a story of him developing as a character and basically finding his place in the universe and in the structure and hierarchy of life. I'm not doing a great job in explaining it to you. It is very much something that I would encourage everyone to watch for themselves, because it is a brilliant story, and they did do a fantastic job of telling that story in this show. They also did a fantastic job with their casting. Tom Sturridge, I'm probably butchering his name. Tom Sturridge plays the role of Dream. He did a fantastic job. He definitely looked the part very, very well. You may recognize him from other movies as well. One of the most noticeable ones would be he was in The Boat That Rocked. I haven't seen him in much else. Those are probably the only two shows that I've really seen him in. But both times he an amazing performer. Gwendoline Christie, who you would recognise obviously as Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones. She plays Lucifer, and she is absolutely phenomenal in that role as well. Boyd Holbrook plays one of the nightmares called the Corinthian, who escapes the dream world. He was fantastic in this show as well. And then we've got Patton Oswalt, who does the voice of Matthew the Crow, or the Raven. And Kirby Howell-Baptiste, who plays Death. I've never seen her in anything else. I don't recognise her from anything else, but she plays Death in this. Because obviously you're dealing with a lot of cosmic entities, dream, death, despair, destiny. You got the three fates in there. So lots of cosmic kind of elements as well, but she plays Death, and she is absolutely phenomenal in that role. Very, very memorable, and did a fantastic job in her part. So casting of this, there was not a single casting in this show that I think was wrong or failed or did not live up to expectations. They did an absolute brilliant job. There's lots of other people in this show that you'll recognise as well, but that's just kind of the main standouts there. And so visually, this show is absolutely spectacular as well, because you're dealing not only in our reality or the real world, but you're also dealing with the dream world and the mystic world, and the visuals that they came up with for this show was just absolutely breathtaking and spectacular. Even not just the dream world. Obviously you've got the palace that Dream lives in, and the surrounding areas where people go to in their dreams. But I think it's episode 3 or 4 when you go to hell to meet Lucifer. The visuals that they put together to depict what hell looks like in this kind of reality or this world is just absolutely mind-blowing. So the cinematography and the CG and how they just put these worlds together is just absolutely brilliant. So that being said, the Sandman drama series on Netflix is just an absolute phenomenal show in all aspects of it. Even Mrs. Jackednnerdy absolutely loved it and was taken back by it. The only criticism that we have of this show is that it did not really depict the passing of time well. And that was really... And, I mean, this is only a very, very small gripe that I have with it. And it may not even be a directorial or showrunner decision. It might actually just be a story. As I said, I'm not very overly familiar with the actual comics or the graphic novels, so I don't know if it's a storytelling issue or a directorial issue. But yeah, the I just found personally, this is my takeaway, is that the passing of time seems to be irrelevant in this show. You have a lady who looks like she's in her 70s, but as far as I can tell from the story, is like a couple of 100 years old, which doesn't make sense. If she's a couple of 100 years old, like 200 years old, or 150, even if she's like 100 years old or 150 years old, she shouldn't look like she's in her 60s or 70s. So the idea of passing of time and that seems to be a bit irrelevant in this show, which did throw me off a little bit. But like I said, that's only a very, very small part of the story and a very, very small gripe. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this show, and going back to the fact that this is a Netflix show, I'm holding out hope so bad that they do end up making a season 2, but being that it's Netflix and they are notoriously bad for axing shows after one season, I'm not going to hold my breath. That being said, I did hear reports that this show was the number 1 rated show in over 80 countries in the last week. So if anything, that should say to the Netflix executives that people like this show and people want to see more of it. So fingers crossed, Netflix will hear our cries saying that we love this show and we want more of it. So fingers crossed they will do a season 2. They did leave it open at the end, as they always do for a follow-up series or season. So I'm eagerly awaiting to hear if there's some sort of an announcement that Netflix will be going into production of season 2. Until we hear that, though, fingers crossed, and we are waiting with bated breaths. But if we only have the one season, well, I'm happy to say that the first season is absolutely phenomenal and absolutely loved it. So if you're on the fence about watching it, please, by all means, do yourself a favor, get onto it and watch The Sandman on Netflix. I will give this show an 8.5 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it start to finish. It was very well paced. The acting was incredible. The visuals spectacular. And just the story as a whole is a really interesting and intricate story that I think people would really enjoy. It pulls on all different types of mythology, from Christian anthology to Greek mythology to, the concept of, the Sandman and desire and death and all sorts. So it draws on many aspects of various different mythologies and just kind of brings them all together. So it's just a phenomenal story. Like DC Comics or Dark Horse, this is a phenomenal story. So I might have to go back and read some of the graphic novels, just so that I can see what the concepts were that they adapted to this show. But anyway, I'm rambling on. So now, look, as I said, 8.5 out of 10. Thoroughly enjoyed this show. Do yourself a favor, if you haven't checked it out already, go and check it out. And if you have seen it, what were your thoughts on the show? Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the show. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Was there any gripes that you had with it? I'd be very interested to know what other people thought of this show. At the moment, it's sitting at 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is fantastic as well. So there it is. That's my thoughts on Netflix The Sandman. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and give these videos a thumbs up. We've got plenty more videos coming up over the next few weeks. We've still got a few mystery unboxings to go through. We've also got the new Game of Thrones show coming up. We've got the new Lord of the Rings show coming up. We've got plenty of hot toy unboxings coming up as well. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you guys never miss out on a video. And until next time, guys, stay jacked and stay nerdy.